The river breathes. The river breathes and I breathe and I stand in the river. I stand in the coolness of the water. Its coolness touching my feet, my calves, my knees, my thighs, my waist, my stomach, my chest, my throat, my arms, my face, my eyes, and I am the river. I am the river, and the river flows, and the river flows, and my breath blows across the river. And from beginning to end I move, I move, I move, I move, and yet I'm still, for I stand in the river, and I am the river. I stand in the river as the beginning and the end. I stand in the river as the rain that falls from the sky like my tears, joins the river that begins and ends but does not end, joins the ocean, flows back up into the sky, and rains and pours down through the canyons and the river. A circle. All a circle. And I stand in the center of the circle. I stand in the center of the circle. So that the rapids that rage, that sometimes feel like anger, they part of this circle. The smooth gentleness, calm, seemingly not to move. This too I am. And the wind blows, and I breathe. I breathe. I breathe. I breathe the breath of the river that has no beginning and no end, but is this circle. This circle of rain that comes from the sky and flows through the river and flows to the ocean and back in the sky. Just this flow, just this one, in my own breath, as I stand in the river. I stand in the river of time. It has no beginning and no end. I stand in the river of my history, where things stick up and along the river's edge things get clogged and don't move, and create these little whirlpools that I find myself getting swept into with all my thinking, all these whirlpools of thinking that draw me in, that draw me away from this standing in the river that is the beginning and the end and the circle. I'm swept off to the side. My mind follows these things. I follow these things. I move out of this neutrality of standing in the river. And I get swept up into what I believe. And what do I believe? What do I believe? What do I believe? What do I believe? Whatever I believe is true. Whatever I believe is there. I believe I am the river. I believe that this breath that blows the grass is the breath of a mystery that I am, that connects all things. All things. All things. So I stand in the river. I stand in the river. in the warmth of the sun, like a love. The circle of life filled with the love of the sun, always. A sun that lives within me, that moves within me, that shines within me, as I stand in the river. And the waves move. And the plants in the bottom of the river, they move, they sweep, they flow. And do I allow myself to get taken down the river with a thought? Do I follow it? Do I let it take me? Or do I swim up the river? Do I face up the river to the beginning? To the beginning. All my history flowing down river. All that I ever thought I was down river. As I stand in the river in this moment, all my history facing me, flowing toward me. My childhood, my adolescence, my difficulties, my pain, my joy, my hurt, my sadness, my losses, all my losses in the river, all my losses in the river. And do I let them cling to me? Do I let them weight me down and take me down the river? To the beginning. Something in me says, to the beginning, to the beginning. To the beginning that joins the end. Swim up river to the beginning that joins the end. This me, this I that gets so caught up in all these little events cropping up along the river, fish jumping up, everything happening. And my mind getting swept up and caught by them. Now, in this moment, I stand in the river. And I look as far as I can see to where the river is still, calm, as if unmoving. As if somewhere in the beginning is the unmoving, the eternal. Even though it appears to move, so close to me here and around me. I anchor myself in that beginning that does not move, that beginning that joins the end, and the beginning, the ocean and the rain, the sky and the earth. They live within me now, eternally. Eternally. And I breathe the breath of the river, and the grass blows, and my feet are cool, and the water is cool, and the sun is warm. Life all around me, within me, through me. I am the river. I am the river. I am the river. I am the river. Take a big, deep, wonderful, spacious, sky-filled breath. And as you let the air out, feel the water. Hear the sound of the water. Hear the sound of the water as if it were the current of life flowing through all things. The very blood flowing through your body. The rivers, the creeks, the streams, all flowing into the ocean. The water, the sound of the water. As you hear the sound of the water, let it enter all of you. Let it enter all of you. As if that sound were the sound of you, the sound of the deepest, truest you. A sound in the quiet, a sound that is quiet, a sound that takes you to the quiet. It takes you to the quiet. The sound that takes you to the quiet. Just hear the water and let it take you to the quiet. To the quiet that you are. As if you laid yourself down in the river and just flowed along its edges, moving around all the rocks. No effort, just gliding here and gliding there, and butterflies flying over you, and the sun shining, and you just filled with the quiet brought to you by the sound of the river. And all this wonderful space, the space, the space, the space of light, the space of fire, the space filled with the fire of the sun, as you lie in the water and you hear the sound of the water. And it takes you to the beginning of you, to the doorway, to the doorway, to the doorway of one, the sound of the river. Let it carry you. Let it carry you gently, easily, effortlessly, all the way down, down, down the river. Easily. The sun shining on you, the wind blowing over you. The wonder of the rocks and the rock beings gazing down upon you. Just the sound of the river taking you home, 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 home. The sound of the river home. And a big, wonderful, deep breath as if filling with that whole sound of the river. As if when you let it out, it's like you give it all to the river. To this river, I give my mind. To this river, I give my pain. To this river, I give my joy. To this river, I give my memories, my history. To this river, I give all that I call me and I. And I become the infinite I floating down the river. As I listen to the sound of the river. The sound of the river. Filling me. Filling every cell. Filling every atom. Until all that it fills is infinite space. And that space, my love, my spacious love. And I carry this spacious love wherever I go. Because it is me. It never goes away. I simply forget. I simply start tromping down the river thinking that I can do it. And I forget. I forget the current. I forget the sound. But in this moment, I remember. I remember the sound of the river and the current. And I give myself to that. And in this giving myself to that, I am home. It carries me home to the quiet. To the quiet. To the quiet.